Welcome to 5 Minute Bible, your daily guide for your daily reading. Today's April the 23rd, and we'll be looking at 1 Chronicles 1 through 2. Now today we step out of the Samuel narrative for a moment, and we step into the book of Chronicles, which is a book that runs parallel to the story of David. And that shift is intentional, because in a chronological Bible reading plan like the one that we're doing, we're not reading the text sequentially. We're reading them chronologically. We're trying to see the events as they happened in real time. And in Chronicles, we're stepping back to see the story from another angle. You see, Chronicles was written later, and it was looking back over Israel's history, especially the rise of the Davidic kingdom, and it's helping God's people in the exile remember and understand who they are in light of everything that has happened in their past. And it begins not with a story, but with names. 1 Chronicles 1 through 2 traces the genealogy from Adam all the way to Judah and then to the line of David. And this isn't filler material. This is foundational material to the Hebrew people. In that way, chapter 1 begins at the very beginning, Adam, and then Noah, and then the nations that spread across the earth after the flood, and it moves through the patriarchs like Abraham and Isaac and Jacob, and it shows that while humanity multiplies, God is doing something very specific within the broader redemptive story. By the time we reach chapter 2, the focus tightens. The spotlight falls on Judah, the tribe of promise, and the line that leads directly to David himself. And the message is unmistakable from the chronicler. Out of the entire world, God has chosen a single family, and out of that family, a tribe, and out of that tribe, a king. And in that way, these genealogies are not exhaustive, but they are intentional. They are tracing the line of promise. They're showing that from creation to the monarchy, God has been faithfully preserving his promises, and he always will. So as you read today, I want you to ask the following question. Do we understand our place inside of the story of God? Or do we think that the story is somehow about us? Because these names are not just about the past, they're about identity. You see, the driving pattern in these chapters is a narrowing line that carries forward a global promise. It's many men who are involved in a single story, and that story begins with Adam, the father of all humanity, and it spreads outward through the nations, but then it narrows into Abraham and Isaac and Jacob and then Judah, and that narrowing can feel small and almost restrictive at times until you understand its purpose. God isn't shrinking his plan, he's narrowing it down until eventually it will land upon a single person. He's establishing a line through which the blessing will eventually flow outward from that one man to the entire world. And at the same time, there's a kind of steady and unbreakable continuity. Generation after generation passes, and most of these names on the list are unfamiliar to us. We're not going to meet them, at least not until heaven. So in that way, their lives seem kind of obscure, ordinary, or maybe even forgettable. And yet the line never breaks. That's the point. Generation after generation, the promises continue through one seed to the next, with God's faithfulness in charge of it all. And that's the weight of this passage. God's purposes do not depend on human prominence. Kings rise and fall, nations shift, but God preserves his promise through one generation to the next, so that the world will eventually be won back to him. And that presses into our lives as well, because most of our lives feel ordinary and maybe even forgettable. But these chapters remind us that ordinary faithfulness is often the very means by which God uses to accomplish his extraordinary plan. Even though 10,000 years from now, if the Lord should remain that long, no one will know our name, but we're a part of the story of God. We're a part of the same story that caught up Adam and Abraham and Isaac and Jacob and Judah and David and all the other names that are listed on this list. And all of this is building us towards Jesus Christ, because the movement from Adam to Abraham is narrowing. It's not all of Adam's sons, but it's a son named Abraham. It's not all of Abraham's sons, it's Isaac. It's not all of Isaac's sons, it's Jacob. It's not all of Jacob's sons, it's Judah. It's not all of David's sons, it's Solomon. Do you see the point? The narrative is showing us that the promise is narrowing and narrowing and narrowing and narrowing until we arrive at a single person, the one person to which all the promises of God belong, and that is the true King, Jesus Christ. Christ is the greater Adam, succeeding where the first man failed. He is the promised seed of Abraham through which all the nations are blessed. He is the Lion of Judah, the Son of David, the rightful king whose reign will never end. And here is the beauty of all of it. The line continues to narrow and narrow until it rests upon a single man, and through that man, it will eventually expand outward to include everyone on earth. What is focused into one family ultimately opens outward to the nations through Jesus. Where these genealogies trace physical descent, Christ creates a spiritual people where they preserve a line and he fulfills the promise, and where they look forward in hope and he stands as the fulfillment of everything that we've anticipated. So as you read these names on this list, don't rush past them. This is the story that God has been building from the very beginning. And tomorrow, we're going to continue through these genealogies and see that the focus is going to sharpen even more as the line of promise continues to become clearer. And with that, read your Bible carefully, devotionally, and joyfully, and may the Lord use his word to sanctify you completely, and we will continue our journey tomorrow. God bless you.